Hi and welcome to another analysis of a very exciting game. As always, before we start, you have a puzzle to solve. In the game, Jules Moussard, a very strong French player, against Mickey Adams in the London Chess Classics. It's white to move, so Moussard has a very brilliant tactic prepared here and you should find it. And before we continue, it should be said that Mickey Adams, who won the tournament, the London Classics, and became the very first English player to win it, was in real danger here and on the verge of losing. So now let's go to the game and see if you found the solution. Jules Moussard, playing the white pieces, starts the game with first e4. Mickey Adams plays e5, a move which he has played a lot, has a lot of experience from both sides, and usually watching him playing chess is really pleasant. Knight to f3, now we get a Royal Lopez, and we arrive at a critical position here after castle, because now white usually in the main line goes c3 and allows black to play the Marshall Gambit, which used to be very popular, but for some reason, or exactly for this reason, white stopped playing c3 so often, because these positions lead to very concrete stuff and white should be prepared very well, just like black, and there are a lot of possibilities to make mistakes. So instead of this, a frequently guest of this channel was played, and this is the move 8th h3. We have the game Cheparinov against Sokolov, which is a more recent one, or from the 2000s years, the game of Cheparinov against Almazy, a very strong Hungarian grandmaster. So bishop to b7, d3, of course. Here trying to outsmart black with c3 doesn't work, because d5 is still playable, and after e takes d5, knight takes d5. The pawn on e5 should not be taken, because this is already very bad for white. Knight takes e5, rook takes e5, knight to f4, and now the white king feels really uncomfortable, and it's not clear what white should do here. Black enjoys a huge advantage. So just avoid this with the white pieces, try to get this with the black pieces. So d3 played instead, like in Cheparinov's games. And now d5. So what does this mean? White tried to avoid the move d5, and yet black just got to play it, and it looks like black will always find a way to play it. So let's continue the game. E takes d5, knight takes d5, and now white refrained from taking on e5 because black has ideas. Knight to d4, knight d2, c5, and as soon as c3 or knight d2 f3 are played, this bishop on b3 is taken, and black gave up a pawn but has the pair of bishops and will regroup his pieces. Black has more than enough compensation. The bishop will go to d6 in the long run, queen to c7, and black will try to gain something on the king's side. Knight b to d2, so not trying to take the pawn, but securing the pair of bishops. Well, black could play very risky chess here with knight to a5, but then e5 is weak, and after knight takes e5, still there are these ideas with c5, and let's say a4, knight takes b3, but then after knight takes b3 we see, okay, white is up a pawn, and it's not so clear that black's position is as great as in the previous variations. So let's go just back. Instead, knight to d4 was played, and of course white doesn't want to get rid of his bishop on b3. It's the white squared bishop, he wants to keep it, so of course white takes on d4, e takes d4, queen to f3, trying to put some pressure here along the diagonal, and of course rook to b8. The bishop needs to be protected so the knight can move away, and now knight to e4, blocking the diagonal and making the bishop ready to be developed, which was blocked just a move ago. Black continues with c5. c4 might be an idea at some point. White must watch out, but taking on f6 pardon, will always be with check, so ideas with knight to f6 are very slow to implement because the king needs to move to h8 first, so white just should watch out for these threats, but there's nothing concrete yet. White plays a4, a very standard move in the Ruy Lopez, which has been played very often in the recent years. At some point in these d3 structures you want to break the pawn chain on the queen side or the pawn structure. So knight to f6 still played, and now a takes b5, and of course knight takes f6 isn't so good because here the bishop just takes and the queen is attacked. So this is check attacking the king, therefore white gains this one tempo to move the queen away, but this is no position you want to achieve. So a takes b5 played, a takes b5, and now bishop to f4 attacking the rook. Well, it had been a little bit more precise here to take the knight on e4, because after moves like pawn takes a6 there's knight to d2, a very tricky move. Let's say queen to e2, and now knight takes b3, and I know this is a long sequence and in the end there is rook to a8. This rook is undefended, so there's this exchange, and probably the white player, Mickey Adams, sorry, the black player might have seen this and disliked this pawn or whatsoever, so decided to go for a takes b5 instead. Bishop to f4 attacking the rook, knight takes e4, an exchange sacrifice, bishop takes b8, queen takes b8, and now this piece needs to be regained, and of course taking with the pawn is very risky because of c4, bishop a2, and the bishop looks very bad, and there is a potential passed pawn here, and the bishops are also not that weak. Here and here there will be put on better places, especially the bishop on e7, and black will have a nice game. But let's go back. Rook takes e4 was played, so a very good move by Moussard, the white player. Bishop to f6, and now g3, and g3 looks a little bit dubious because there is already this diagonal, and at some point the queen might be just put on c6 and white would have some problems to solve. Instead, a move like queen to f4 had been probably a little bit more interesting, because now say bishop takes e4, queen takes e4, white has decentralized queen. This bishop is also a nice piece, and this rook controls a nice file, and it's not so clear what white should play here, black should play here, sorry, and white can try to fight for an advantage. Black must play very precisely. Instead, as I told you, g3 was played, and now black could just go queen to c7, queen to f4, queen b6, because this doesn't lead to much yet, but would be playable. But queen to b6 also looks very nice. Rook to e1, for example, and c4, and of course trying to win this pawn doesn't work because of queen to c6. These ideas are existent in these lines. Instead, a very strange move was played, h6. Well, black just makes a square for the king on h7, but it's rather dubious. Queen to f5, bishop takes e4, and now we have the very same position but with a centralized queen, which we already had, and this h6 move, which doesn't look too good here. And it's not so clear what should be played, because also f7 is going to be weak, so moves like rook f2 e8, then maybe something like queen to f3, say rook d8, and queen to h5. This pawn is weak, must be defended, and now the pieces can be centralized and black might be suffering. For example, bishop to d5, and it's not so clear what is going on, because there's also rook a6 with maybe an exchange sacrifice, then check here. So a very interesting position, but at least for white. Black is suffering, but yeah. So rook to c8 was played, and now rook to a6. As you can see, the moves are very similar. Queen to c7, bishop d5, the same plan basically. Queen to d7, and now rook to b6. Bishop c6 hadn't been a bad move, because after taking there is this amazing bishop to e8, and let's say c4 was played, then these pawns are just weak and b5 can be taken. Let's say a move like king to h8 was played, then of course f7 is just weak, so the position is not very pleasant for black. Hard to say what he should play here. Also this queen is not very centralized. But rook to b6 was played, another good move. Rook to d8, bishop to c6, now a move later. Queen takes h3, bishop takes b5, queen h5, bishop to c4, of course. White wants to put pressure against the f7 pawn. Rook f8, king to g2, a very good move, just bringing the king to a better square. And probably white was in time trouble already. Queen to g5, rook b7, and now it's getting worse and worse for black. h5 was played, and you were asked in the beginning what you would play here, and of course it's just too tempting not to play. Oh yeah, this bishop takes f7 is check is too tempting, and you would probably play it, or at least I would try to calculate the consequences. And rook takes f7 is basically the only move. Other moves are just saying that okay, or black says okay, I just blundered the pawn, let's just play king h8, and the position is just horrible. Black's pieces are positioned worse, and white is material up. Not very pleasant for the black player. So rook takes f7 was played, and now there is this resource of bishop e6 at e7 at some point. So here the move f4 had been great. The queen has to move. Let's say queen to g4, then check, and now this king cannot move. The rook has to be put on f8, then queen to d5 check. The queen goes to h7, and this rook is for free. Very unpleasant. White sacrificed the bishop for a pawn and gets back an entire rook. And queen to e2 check, king h3 check again, and now just king h2, and the queen is heading backwards, and there's no perpetual at all. So this is not working. f4 had won the game. Instead, queen to e6 was played, overlooking a fantastic move by black. A resource white had just missed. And this is bishop to e7, and now black just won the game by resignation. One move ago he was winning, white was winning, now it's suddenly black. Let's see why. f4 is not working. Well, there is a very easy solution to this problem. It's queen f6, and now black is up a piece for a pawn and is going to win the game. So a very exciting game, and we are familiar with this opening after h3 here. And if you want to understand this very trendy line, then let's just continue watching this video. See you here.